Now that Pope Francis has died, it's time to select a new pope. The election of the pope is not just a ceremonial matter for the Catholic Church, it is a moment of immense significance for over 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide. As the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope holds a position of religious, spiritual, and administrative authority. But how does the Church go about choosing the person who will take on such an important role? The election process of the Pope is known as a conclave, a term derived from the Latin cum clave, meaning with a key. This name reflects the locked, secretive nature of the process, which is designed to ensure that the selection is free from external pressures or interference. This video will delve into the process of how the next pope will be chosen, exploring the necessary prerequisites, the election mechanics, and the traditions and rituals that make the process so unique. The College of Cardinals are the senior clergy members of the Catholic Church, appointed by the Pope, and they play a central role in the conclave. The College of Cardinals, numbering over 200 members, is made up of archbishops, bishops, and priests. Their primary function is to assist the Pope in governing the Church, but when the Pope dies or resigns, the College is responsible for selecting his successor. It is worth noting that only the cardinals under the age of 80 are eligible to participate in the conclave. Once the seat of the papacy is vacated, either by the death or resignation of the current pope, the process of choosing a new successor begins with the announcement of the sede vacante, the vacancy of the seat. The College of Cardinals meets in Rome, where they gather to begin preparations for the conclave. They hold a series of meetings, known as general congregations, where they discuss the needs of the Church, the qualifications they desire in a pope, and the potential candidates for the positions. Once the general congregations are concluded, the conclave officially begins. The cardinals make their way to the Sistine Chapel, where they will remain secluded from the outside world until a new pope is elected. The use of the Sistine Chapel as the location for the conclave is steeped in tradition. The chapel, famous for its stunning Michelangelo frescoes, is symbolic of the sacredness of the papal election. The Sistine Chapel is locked to ensure privacy. No one is allowed to leave the chapel, and the cardinals are not allowed any communication with the outside world. The idea behind this isolation is to keep the process free from external pressures and influence. The cardinals are locked in with the key, hence the term conclave. The voting process. The election itself involves a series of votes, each of which takes place in a secret ballot. The cardinals write down the name of the candidate they believe should be elected pope. The ballots are then placed into an urn, and the votes are counted. For a candidate to be elected pope, he must receive a 2/3 majority of the votes. If a candidate does not achieve the necessary majority, a new round of voting begins. The cardinals continue voting, and if the deadlock persists, they may engage in a series of additional voting rounds. During these rounds, it is not uncommon for alliances and support to shift as the cardinals work to identify a candidate who can command the necessary majority. One of the most iconic elements of the papal election process is the use of smoke signals. After each round of voting, the ballots are burned in a special furnace in the Sistine Chapel. If no candidate has been elected, the smoke is black, indicating that the vote has not yet resulted in a new pope. If a candidate has been elected, the smoke is white, signaling the successful election of a new pope. The sight of white smoke rising from the Sistine Chapel's chimney is eagerly awaited by the crowd gathered outside St. Peter's Basilica, as it signals the end of the conclave and the beginning of the new pope's papacy. Once a new pope has been elected, the Cardinal Dean steps out onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica to make the announcement. The famous words, Habemus Papam, we have a pope, are declared, followed by the name of the new pope. This marks the moment when the faithful around the world learn who the new leader of the Catholic Church will be. Following the announcement, the new pope steps out onto the balcony to greet the crowd for the first time as the leader of the Church. This is a moment of great significance, not only for the Catholic community, but also for the world at large, as the Pope is seen as a symbol of unity and moral authority for billions of people. After the announcement, the new Pope is formally inaugurated in a ceremony that takes place in St. Peter's Basilica. The inauguration includes the traditional papal oath, in which the Pope pledges to fulfill his duties faithfully. He is then presented with the papal insignia, including the Ring of the Fisherman, which symbolizes his authority as the Pope. This marks the formal start of the new Pope's papacy. The key considerations in choosing a Pope. Spiritual leadership. The Pope is not only a religious leader for Catholics, but also a moral authority for the world. Cardinals often consider the spiritual depth and integrity of the candidates, seeking someone who can lead the Church in faith, truth, and charity. Experience and leadership skills. The Pope is the head of the Catholic Church and must be able to manage the administrative, doctrinal, and organizational aspects of the Church. Cardinals will often look for someone with experience in church governance. Global perspective. The Church is a global institution, and the next Pope may need to address challenges facing Catholics around the world. A pope who can unite the Church's global followers is often seen as a strong candidate. Reform. In recent years, there has been a growing desire for reform within the Church, Some cardinals may favor a candidate who can initiate reforms to address the modern challenges facing the Church, including issues like sexual abuse, transparency, and the role of women. Pope Leo XIV was recently chosen as the new pope. I will be speaking more about him in my next video out shortly. Thanks for watching.